In the bustling heart of the city, Ethan Montgomery stands in the corner of a sleek, high-rise office, watching the world move below him. A successful businessman in his late 20s, Ethan has it all: wealth, status, and an entire city at his feet. But behind his composed, confident exterior lies a challenge that even he can't escape: his family. For years, they've pressured him to settle down, demanding that he find a suitable wife. And now, with his mother threatening to take drastic measures, he's out of time. He needs a solution, and fast. Meanwhile, across town, Samantha Grey is at a crossroads of her own. A bright and determined woman in her mid-20s, she's been struggling to make ends meet ever since she took on her younger brother's medical bills. She works tirelessly, juggling odd jobs, yet it feels like she's falling further behind. Today, at the end of her shift as a part-time waitress, she overhears a businessman talking on the phone about paying off debts. The sheer amount of money he casually mentions shocks her. She sinks into the nearest seat, wondering what it would be like to have that kind of security. Fate intervenes when Ethan walks into that very cafe and overhears Samantha's frustration as she shares her money troubles with a friend. In that moment, a plan forms in his mind. He approaches Samantha, offering her a deal that seems unbelievable. "Marry me for 1 year and I'll pay you $10,000. It's strictly business." Samantha stares at him, speechless. Her mind races, thinking of her brother, of her debts, of all the reasons she should say no. But Ethan, with a calm, almost practiced gaze, holds out his business card and waits. Despite her better judgment, she realizes that maybe, just maybe, this could be the answer she's been praying for. A week later, Samantha finds herself standing outside the courthouse, heart pounding. She's about to marry Ethan Montgomery, a man she barely knows, for a contract worth $10,000. It's surreal, yet she's convinced herself it's the right choice, or at least the necessary one. Ethan, waiting inside, is dressed sharply in a fitted black suit, his expression unreadable. As Samantha steps through the doors, he meets her gaze and gives a small, reassuring nod. "This is just business," he reminds her. With a handful of witnesses, they exchange simple vows. No grand speeches, no romantic glances, just a quiet, practical ceremony sealing their 1-year deal. Samantha holds her breath as she slips the modest ring onto her finger, feeling the weight of this strange commitment. The moment the ceremony ends, Ethan hands her a pen and slides a thick stack of papers across the table. A contract, detailing every rule, every condition of their agreement. No romance, no complications, just a partnership to appease his family. As they both sign on the dotted line, a chill runs through Samantha. She's officially Mrs. Montgomery. Samantha arrives at Ethan's penthouse, and the reality of her decision hits her. Surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows and expensive furniture, she feels like an outsider. This isn't just a new home, it's a whole new world. Ethan shows her around, maintaining his usual cool demeanor, but there's an awkward tension in the air. Two strangers, now sharing a life they barely agreed to. As Samantha unpacks her small suitcase in the guest room, she can't help but wonder how she's supposed to fit into this grand life without losing herself. Over the next few days, they navigate the uncomfortable dance of living together. Ethan is precise, orderly, his mornings start early, his routines set. Samantha, still adjusting, finds herself clashing with his habits. One morning, she leaves her coffee mug on the counter, only for Ethan to place it neatly back in the cabinet without a word. But slowly, there are cracks in Ethan's formal shell. One evening, he catches Samantha gazing out at the city lights, a rare smile crossing her face. For a moment, he almost lets his guard down. But then, just as quickly, he pulls back. Samantha wonders, who is the real Ethan beneath all these walls? And more importantly, does he ever wonder the same about her? Tonight, Samantha steps into Ethan's world for the first time. Dressed in a sleek black dress Ethan picked out for her, she feels out of place, yet determined to play her role. As they enter a high-profile charity gala, Ethan's hand rests lightly on her back, a show of confidence for those watching. But Samantha senses a hint of tension beneath his calm. Around them, curious eyes follow their every move, whispers filling the room. They're supposed to be the picture-perfect couple, and Samantha does her best to keep up appearances. But when they're introduced to Ethan's family, the stakes rise. Ethan's mother, a sharp-eyed woman with a polished smile, studies Samantha with thinly veiled skepticism. "So, Samantha, how did you and Ethan meet?" Her question hangs heavy, her tone making it clear that she's looking for a slip-up. Samantha quickly shares a carefully rehearsed story, hoping it sounds convincing. The evening is exhausting, filled with probing questions, forced laughter, and sidelong glances. But just as Samantha's patience begins to wear thin, Ethan does something surprising. He takes her hand, squeezes it, and gives her a genuine, reassuring smile. For the first time, she feels like they're truly in this together. On the way home, they sit in silence, both a little changed. The line between pretense and reality is starting to blur, and Samantha can't help but wonder if Ethan feels it too. As Samantha grows closer to Ethan, she starts to feel more confident in her role. But not everyone is convinced. At another event, she's blindsided by a familiar face. Ethan's ex, Lila, an elegant woman with a sharp smile and a grudge to match. Lila wastes no time cornering Samantha, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "So, you're the new Mrs. Montgomery? How long do you think this little arrangement will last?" Samantha tries to brush it off, but Lila's words sting, leaving her feeling exposed and out of place. Suddenly, she wonders if everyone here sees her as nothing more than a gold digger. Before she can respond, Ethan appears, stepping protectively between them. His voice is firm, his gaze cold as he addresses Lila. "Leave her alone, Lila." He takes Samantha's hand and guides her away, his grip a silent reassurance. But Lila's words linger. That night, Samantha sits alone in the penthouse, replaying the encounter in her mind. Despite her growing feelings for Ethan, she wonders if Lila's right. Is she really just someone passing through his life, or could there be more? Ethan, noticing her quietness, tries to reassure her, but even he seems conflicted, caught between his own walls and the truth he's been trying to avoid. Samantha feels like she's walking on eggshells, haunted by Lila's words and the uncertainty of her place in Ethan's life. She's fallen deeper than she planned. What started as a business deal has become personal. But now it's all too clear. Her feelings aren't part of the contract. One evening, she gathers the courage to confront Ethan, admitting that this arrangement has started to mean more to her than just a paycheck. She looks at him, searching for some sign that he feels the same. But Ethan hesitates, his expression unreadable. Ethan's silence crushes her. He's built his life around control, and falling in love doesn't fit his plan. Driven by fear and old wounds, he pulls back, reminding Samantha that this was always just a business deal. Hurt and humiliated, Samantha decides to leave, packing her things with tears in her eyes. As she walks out, Ethan's heart sinks. For the first time, he realizes he might actually lose her. But his pride and fear hold him back, and he watches as the woman he's grown to care for disappears from his life. Days turn into weeks, and Ethan's life feels emptier without Samantha. He throws himself into his work, trying to forget, but nothing fills the void she left behind. It's only now in her absence that he realizes how deeply he cares for her. This wasn't just a business deal anymore. It was love, and he let it slip away. One rainy evening, Ethan finds himself standing outside Samantha's tiny apartment, soaked and uncertain. When she opens the door, surprise flashes across her face, quickly replaced by guarded hurt. She doesn't trust him, not after how things ended, but Ethan speaks from the heart, his words raw and unguarded. "I was wrong, Samantha. I thought I could keep things simple, but I can't lose you. I love you." Samantha's defenses falter, tears glistening in her eyes as she listens. She can see he's changed, that he's finally letting his walls down. Tentatively, she reaches out and he pulls her into his arms, both of them holding on to each other as if afraid to let go again. Back in the city lights, Ethan and Samantha return to the penthouse. Not as strangers, not bound by contracts, but as two people finally willing to take a chance on love. Love isn't always simple, but sometimes it's worth the risk. Thank you for watching our story. Let us know in the comments if you take a chance on a love like theirs. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to stay updated on new beautiful stories.